What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today, we are breaking down a film that genuinely disturbed me, and I mean that is the best possible way. The film is Exhuma, a 2024 South Korean horror film, and before you think, oh, another ghost movie, let me stop you right there. Because Exhuma is not that. The film is something else entirely, something deeper, darker, and honestly far more intelligent than most horror films you will ever watch. It released in February 2024. Within 32 days, it crossed 10 million tickets sold in South Korea alone. It holds a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It premiered at the Berlin International Film Festival. This is not a small film, it is a phenomenon, and by the end of this video, you will completely understand why. So let's get into it. It starts with a baby, a newborn, a wealthy Korean American family living in Los Angeles, and this baby, from almost the moment it enters the world, is sick, not normal sick. Doctors are baffled. Every test comes back clean. Every scan shows nothing, but the baby keeps deteriorating, getting paler, weaker, like something invisible is slowly, quietly draining the life of the child. The family throws money at the problem. Best hospitals, best specialists, nothing works. So they go back to their roots. They call a shaman. Her name is Hua Rim. Young, sharp, completely fearless. The moment she walks into the hospital room and looks at the baby, she does not even hesitate. This is not a medical problem. She senses it immediately. An ancestral curse. In Korean shamanism, they call it a grave's calling. When a disturbed spirit of a dead ancestor latches onto the living and pulls them slowly towards death. The source is grave, somewhere back in Korea, and unless it is found and dealt with, this baby is not surviving. So Hua Rim builds her team, and this team, actually I love this team, her protege Bong Gil, young, gifted, and just experienced enough to know when to be scared, and Sang Duck, a veteran geomancer. Now, if you don't know what that means, think of someone who reads the energy of the land itself: mountains, river soil. In Korea and East Asian tradition, where you bury someone matters enormously. The right location brings fortune and health to the family. The wrong location, generations of suffering. Sang Duck is the best in the country at reading these things. And finally, another person in the team is Young Jeon, the mortician. Calm, steady, completely unbothered by death. The kind of man who has spent so much time around the dead that the living makes him nervous. Four people: a shaman, her student, a geomancer, a mortician. They fly to Korea, and what they find there changes everything. So Sang Duck gets to work immediately, reading the land, tracing the family's ancestral roots, following the energy like a thread through a maze, and after days of searching, he finds it, the grave, and the moment he sees it, he completely goes silent. Now remember, this man has stood at thousands of burial sites across Korea. He has seen everything. Nothing shakes him. But this does. The grave is on a remote mountain, deep in the countryside, isolated, hidden, far from any village, far from any road, almost like whoever buried the person there wanted them forgotten. And the positioning, Sang Duck explains quietly, is catastrophically wrong. In Korean tradition, a grave placed correctly brings peace and fortune to the family connected to it, as I told you. Good land, good energy, good life for the descendants. But this grave is sitting in one of the worst positions Sang Duck has ever seen in his entire career. The mountain behind it looms like a threat. The water flow around it is completely wrong. The energy, this place is not just bad, it feels deliberate, like someone chose this spot not by mistakes but specifically, carefully, to cause maximum harm to this family across generations. Hua Rim performs a ritual right there on the mountain, eyes closed, hands moving, reaching out to sense whatever is resting beneath that soil. And what she feels makes her physically step back. This is not a sad lost spirit, not a soul wanting for peace and guidance. This is something furious, something that has been lying in that ground for decades, building up rage, like a pressure cooker sealed shut for 50 years. She turns to the team. We move this grave tonight, she says, and nobody argues. Now, picture this: four people on a dark remote mountain, no city lights, no sound except wind cutting through the trees, lanterns throwing long trembling shadows across the soil, and they dig. The earth becomes the earth comes up slowly. The coffin is deeper than expected, much deeper, like it was buried in a desperate hurry, or like someone really, truly did not want it to be found. And when they finally pull it up and crack it open, the body inside is perfectly preserved. Not bones, not dust, perfectly preserved, like it was buried last week. And in Korean shamanism, a preserved body in a badly positioned grave means one horrifying thing: the spirit never left. It has been trapped in that body, in that soil, the whole time, waiting, and now they just let it out. That same night, strange things happen. Small at first, a sound that doesn't belong, a shadow that moves when nothing should be moving. That specific stomach dropping feeling of being watched by something you cannot see. Bong Gil feels it first, mentions it to Hua Rim. She doesn't dismiss him because she already feels it too. And then one of the team has a vision so vivid, so horrifying that when they wake up, they genuinely cannot tell where the nightmare ended and reality began. But then, and this is where Exhuma, the film, completely transforms. They find something else inside that coffin. Underneath the body preserved, hidden deliberately beneath the remains, a second set of bones. Old, ancient, wrapped in dark ritualistic cloth, and around them specific objects, carefully placed, the kind used not to honor the dead, but to weaponize them. Sang Duck stares at it, picks it apart with his eyes, and his face slowly goes white because he recognizes what this is. Someone a long time ago took these ancient remains and buried them underneath the family's ancestor, like planting a bomb beneath a foundation and building a house on top of it. And that bomb has been going off in slow motion for generations. But there is a part that makes your blood run cold. These hidden remains are not Korean, they are Japanese. And to understand why that changes everything, you just need 1 minute of history. Korea was under Japanese colonial rule from 1910 to 1945. 35 years of occupation, and during that time, beyond the political and cultural suppression, there were acts that went even deeper. Spiritual acts, dark ritualistic energy deliberately embedded into Korean soil, designed to weaken, to corrupt, to haunt. And what is hidden beneath this grave is connected directly to that history. A Japanese spirit, ancient, enormous, built from decades of trapped rage, was deliberately sealed into Korean earth, and our team, without knowing, just broke the seal. So now everything makes sense, and everything gets 10 times worse at the same time. Because this is not a confused ancestor looking for peace. This is not a lost soul that needs guidance. This was deliberately created to destroy, fed by decades of trapped rage, growing stronger and darker with every single year it spent sealed underground. And now it is free, and it knows exactly who let it out. Hua Rim gathers the team, and for the first time in the entire film, she is genuinely, visibly scared. Not the careful professional concern she showed before. This is real fear, the kind that lives in our chest and won't let you breathe properly. She tells them straight. Every ritual they know, every ceremony, every technique, every method they have trained for their entire careers was designed for Korean spirits, Korean energy, Korean ancestors. This thing operates on completely different rules, and none of them, not one of them actually, has ever faced anything like this before. But here is what I love about this team: nobody actually runs. Think about that for a second. They now fully understand what they are dealing with. They have felt this energy. They have seen what it is capable of. They know rationally, completely, that this is something beyond they are prepared for. And still nobody runs. marvelous. Sang Duck goes quiet for a long time, goes through everything he knows, every old text, every story passed down through generations of geomancers, and he finds something. Not a guaranteed way, not a safe way, but actually one way. The plan is this. Hua Rim will face the spirit directly, draw its full attention, hold it in place through ritual, through sheer will and spiritual force for as long as she possibly can, while Sang Duck deals with the source, the bones, the dark objects buried in the soil, the ritualistic seal that was placed in the earth decades ago. Because defeating the spirit in the moment is not enough, the root has to be destroyed completely, or it will simply rebuild itself. The Bongil and Young Jion, the students and the mortician actually, hold everything together around them, keep the rituals alive, protect the space, make sure nothing collapses before it is done. Four people, one shot. And then the spirit reveals itself fully. Now I have to talk about this moment because it is one of the most striking things I have seen in recent horror cinema. Remember how the entire film, the director barely shows you anything? Shadows, reflections, something blurry at the edge of the frame? Your own imagination doing most of the work. He was saving it all for the right moment because when this thing fully appears, he shows you everything. And this is massive, towering, wrong in every proportion. Something that he spent decades underground absorbing darkness and pain and rage and has grown into this enormous ancient force that feels older than anything around it. The team looks up at it, and for one long breathless moment nobody moves. Hua Rim moves first, and what follows is the most intense sequence in the entire film. Full traditional Korean shamanistic ritual performed at absolute maximum intensity. Chanting, movement, offerings, everything she has, everything she is, poured into every single word, and the spirit pushes back hard. You can see it physically affecting her. This is not a movie moment where the hero is magically protected by their goodness. Hua Rim is shaking, exhausted. At certain points, you can see her fighting just to stay on her feet, but she does not stop. Meanwhile, Sangduk is working fast, dismantling the dark objects, breaking the seal piece by piece, and it is fighting him too. The energy in that soil pushing back against everything he does like it is alive, because in a way, it is. And then comes the turning point. It does not come with an explosion. It does not come with a sudden surge of magical power or a dramatic speech. It comes quietly. Hua Rim, completely spent, shaking, pushed further than she has ever been pushed in her life, finds something inside herself. Not more power, not a second wind, just clarity. A pure, complete, total acceptance of exactly what she is doing and exactly why she is doing it. No fear left, no hesitation left, just absolute intention. And in Korean shamanism, that kind of surrender, that kind of purity of purpose, carries more spiritual weight than almost anything else. The chanting shifts, something in the air changes, even the wind around them changes direction, and the spirit, for the first time, falters. Sangda completely completes his work at exactly that moment. The dark objects are gone, the bones are dealt with, the seal that someone planted in that earth all those decades ago, that calculated, deliberate act of spiritual violence, is broken completely and finally. And the spirit, this ancient, enormous, furious thing that has haunted that land for generations, begins to dissolve. Not with a bang, not with a dramatic final roar. It fades, slowly, like a fire that has finally run out of everything to burn, and the silence it leaves behind is the most peaceful thing this film has given us. The steam stands in the aftermath. Nobody speaks. What do you even say? What words exist for what they just survived? Sangdux looks at the land around them. The energy has shifted completely. You can feel it even through the screen. The difference between a place that was poisoned for decades and a place that has finally been cleaned. Hua Rim sits down right there where she is standing, and for the first time in the entire film, she just breathes. Back in Los Angeles, the baby recovers, Just like that, the illness that baffled every doctor, that no test could explain, that no medicine in the world would touch, gone. And guys, after everything we just watched, the entire team sacrifice and suffer and push through to make that one moment possible. That phone call, that relief on that family's face, it hits completely differently. The film ends quietly. No dramatic final shot, no last second jump scare, just our four people going their separate ways, carrying what they experience with them forever. Because Exuma understands something that most horror films never bother to figure out. The story does not end when the monster is defeated. The people who fought it carry it forward in their bones, in the way they will look at the remote mountain of the rest of their lives and feel that specific cold feeling in their chest. Same doors once opened change you forever. And this is Exhuma. On the surface, a ghost story, a family curse, for remarkable people who walked into complete darkness so that a baby in Los Angeles could live. But underneath all of that, and this is what makes it truly special. It is a film about history. It is one of the smartest, most layered, most emotionally satisfying horror films in years. And if you have not seen it, go watch it right now, tonight. Just not alone, and definitely not right before bed. So, alright, guys, this is all for today. If this breakdown gave you a chill, even a little bit, smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel more than you know. Subscribe if you are new, because we do this every single week and will be doing the best films around the world broken down so you feel every single moment. Drop in the comments, have you seen Exhuma? What did it do to you? And tell me what film I should cover next. I read every single comment. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.